Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to show you how you can configure SSL VPN using OpenVPN open source on PFsense. On my screen you can see PFsense running on a virtualized cloud, and it is having the version 2.5.0, and there's a update available as well. Okay, so if you click on VPN, you will already have the VPN, OpenVPN. But then there is one more package which is helpful here in this scenario. Just go to the package manager. Try to locate this package, OpenVPN client export, which will help you to export all the configuration done on the PFSense so that you don't have to manually configure your OpenVPN client. And let it download and let it install. Okay, it's done. Once it is done, you can come to OpenVPN here. And then you can start the configuration. So these are some of the variants, the server mode. So I have kept it in peer-to-peer. So you can choose TLS SSL plus user authentication as well. So you can have your SSL communication over TCP as well as over, you can have the VPN established over UDP as well as over TCP. Let's try to do it with TCP. Keep the device mode as it is. I'm going to run on my WAN interface. So this is the port on which I will be listening for any kind of OpenVPN connection. So these are the cryptographic settings. So you can create your own certificate authority here. And then you can choose the DH parameter length here, Diffie-Hellman. We'll keep it that way. These are the cipher speed. So you can choose whichever cipher speed you want in your environment. So these are the tunnel settings. So this is the information that is given so that the virtual tunnel that gets established when you configure the OpenVPN here, the tunnel will get the IP, and then the client who is connecting to this VPN will also get the IP. So we will have to define the pool here. So if you click here, all the traffic will be directed, all the traffic will be pushed into the tunnel, which might create, outage on your client network. So don't click this unless and until you want all the traffic from the client to be over your tunnel. So this is the resource that the remote users will be accessing. So in my case, I have a subnet. So this is the internal subnet, and I can access this firewall as well on 14.140.40.109. So I can give the remote users the access of this particular resource. If you want, you can start giving the subnets here, multiple subnets like this. Since I don't have that subnet, so I'm going to stick with only single subnet, 14.140.40.0/24. This is the directly connected subnet to this firewall LAN interface. So I'm not going to set any of these parameters. If you want, you can go ahead and do the settings for these parameters. The description is quite self-explanatory. Okay, looks like I'll have to create a certificate. Or else the best way to configure this would be from the wizard. So these are the minimal configuration required. So you can cross check this for reference. My connection would be on WAN interface, which is 192.168.0.109. And I will give the remote users who are connecting to WAN interface the access of the subnet connected to LAN interface. So the users will connect on my 192.168.0.0 subnet, and they will be accessing the firewall on a public IP, which is in 14.140.40.0/24. This is a subnet, and the users connecting to this particular tunnel will be assigned the IP from this particular pool, and first IP will be consumed by the tunnel interface on the firewall. So this is the minimal configuration required. So the best way to configure is from the wizard, because wizard give you all the information, all the prerequisites to complete the configuration. Since I already have the CA configured, so it is not asking me to do that. Else you can add the new CA. I'm going to stick to my existing CA. I already have a server certificate created, so that is the reason why I can see here. If you don't have it, then you can create here. Most probably this information will not be there. Let's try to do that. So you can click on these options, which will then auto generate, auto configure the rules required, the firewall rule and the OpenVPN rule. Else you will have to do the configuration manually. Okay, so now it's done. You can do it manually from here as well, but then wizards give you, a clean set of procedures and steps to configure it without missing anything. And then once it is done, you can click on client export, and this you might not see your users listed here. So the reason would be, your users would be, so you might have missed the configuration of users here. So let me show you one more time. So you can create a user certificate, and the certificate authority is going to be OpenVPN. And this certificate will be signed by OpenVPN CA cert. So now you can see here, the first user is SUMIT and the next user is SUMIT. Earlier you were seeing only this user. So under the VPN configuration, sometimes you might not see under the client export. So now you can see here. Earlier I was only able to see a single user, SUMIT. Now since I have one more users configured and mapped to the certificate authority, and I have already generated this certificate as well. So I can see two users. So now what I can do here is I have an Android device. Unfortunately, I cannot do it on my iPhone, so I have an Android device. So I'll try to, show you the procedures that you can follow on the Android device on how to connect to this particular firewall and then access the resources over SSL connection that can use TCP as well as UDP. So you can see here, this is my OpenVPN. and I'll show you that there is no configuration right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm already logged into the firewall, and I'll try to download the configuration. So I'm using Android, so I'm going to install or I'm going to download the Android file. So you can see here, I'm opening this file with my OpenVPN, and then I'm going to type the first user, and I'm going to type the password as password. So I'm adding this profile, and then let's try to connect to our firewall. So you can see here, it is connected. And these are some of the informations that you can see on your connector, which is OpenVPN. So like I said, I was connected to the firewall on 192.168.0.109, and I can access the subnet which is behind the firewall, which is public subnet 14.140.40.0 subnet. So my firewall interface is also there in that particular subnet, so I should be able to access firewall from that particular subnet. So let's try to do that. So this is the subnet which you can see on the screen. So you can clearly see here I'm able to access the firewall from that particular IP in that subnet. And just to confirm that, I will disconnect the VPN. So you can see here, I'm not able to connect. So you can see here, as soon as I'm connecting my connector to the OpenVPN server, I'm able to access the subnet. So now I am on my window machine. By the way, this is the VM. And let me try to do the same thing here. So we have already tested the configuration with the Android device. Now we will try to test out the same configuration with the Windows-based operating system. And this is over TCP 4434. This is the OpenVPN client. I'm going to import the file that I have just downloaded from the GUI of this firewall. So now let's try to connect. So you can see here, I'm connected to the firewall. And I have the access of the firewall as well. So now let me try to disconnect this. And now let me try to access. So I don't have the access right now you can see here. Let me try to connect to the firewall. So you can see here, as soon as I am connected to the VPN, I'm able to access the firewall on that particular subnet. So that's all in this video. I was able to test the connection and the configuration with Android and a Windows-based machine. I was very much interested in testing the same thing with iPhone, but then because of some reason I was not able to do that. And maybe I will, update a video with the iPhone as well, so that we can, check the feasibility with iPhone as well. So that's all for today, and please do subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and stay safe. Have a good day.